Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Farmer's murder leaves Brandon Hill in mourning. The murder of a farmer in Baker's Ridge in Brandon Hill, St. Andrew on Sunday night has dealt a blow to the rural district, dampened the spirits of community youth who had been inspired by him to chart a path in agriculture. Relatives and friends are mourning the death of 31-year-old lesbian Freddie Webster, who was the family breadwinner. Bloodstains were telling signs of how desperately the wounded man ran from his attacker to reach the family home where he collapsed. His cousin, George Joseph, reported that Webster ran about a quarter mile from where he got shot. "It frightened me. From last night till now, me eye can't shut, me not even eat. More time him leave the road and I hear so him come sleep," Joseph said. Webster wears goats and pigs and cultivates crops such as banana, plantain, and coffee. Explosions and the barking of dogs around 10:45 p.m. had alerted the residents, who summoned the police. Neville Webster said that her brother was a model civil who was the hands and feet of their sickly mother. According to his sister, lesbian's influence on progressive youth in Brandon Hill was immeasurable. "He brings other youths in farming so they don't rob and turn gunmen. He showed them how to make money, how to live. It's like them get bad mind and jealous. Him die by the gun, but him never live by the gun. Him work hard," his sister stated in an interview. Friends who had reportedly seen Webster moments before he had been killed are still in shock. They recalled sentimentally how Webster contributed to the community spirit, often supplying dances and parties in the area with meat in abundance. "Him will have 25 men with him a work on the farm, and them can't do the work, and no say them are worthless, you know. Them just can't manage like him," the resident said of Webster's understanding. Residents said that the lack of street lights in Baker's Ridge may have provided cover for the attacker on Webster, who was walking home in the dark. The killer reportedly escaped on foot. The residents and family went to his farm and fed the animals and took some of them closer to the community for safekeeping. They fear that at Webster's absence, thieves may prey on his farm. One of the farmers who was influenced by Webster said he was like a godfather to Baker's Ridge, sharing virtually from nothing. "Me feel like our dream, me a dream. He is so important, progressive. I teach all of us," a dejected young farmer stated. Work hazard warning as gardener falls to death. The freak death of a landscaper has triggered a caution to homeowners to ensure that their properties are free from occupational hazards. The warning comes after 59-year-old Shane Lee fell to his death into a pit that was covered only with badly worn plyboard in Coral Garden, St. James, around 11:30 a.m. on Monday. The body of Lee, who worked as a gardener in the community for the last 20 years, was pulled from the pit at a home at Melrose Terrace Monday afternoon. Arlington, president of Coral Garden Citizens Association, has urged householders to be their brother's keeper. "What would possess someone to take the metal cover off and not put it back?" she asked. "What if you had children running around in that yard?" Lee had just brought lunch and was walking at the back of the house when he fell through the hole with weed whacker in hand. "I heard screaming for help, and I saw when his shoulder went into the pit as well," a neighbor who asked someone to call the fire department reported. "They were here within 7 to 10 minutes, she stated, adding that the cesspool truck made at least 5 trips before Lee's body was discovered. Angeline Reed, who supplies Lee with lunch, said he only ate fish, and while she served him on Monday, he told her he wanted to finish the yard before long because he had his electricity bill to pay. Pain evident in her voice, Reed said Lee was a hard-working and quiet man. Lyndon Rowe, a colleague landscaper who often teamed up with Reed, said that the late gardener worked solo on Mondays. He was loved by the residents of Coral Gardens and Iron Shore. Most of them wanted him to work for them. They wanted nobody else, Rowe reported. "He was my best friend. He was courteous and jovial. I am caught up inside." Water woes spark New Hanover protests. The National Water Commission (NWC) has made another commitment to residents of Eastern Hanover that supply will be restored in their communities by March 10. This pledge comes on the heels of a second major demonstration in 5 days staged by angry residents over weeks of water shortages. Andrew Cannon, corporate communications manager at the NWC, reported that crewmen are working to address the crisis. Cannon said that workmen encountered some unforeseen challenges, even though the dysfunctional pump has been repaired. Reinstallation has been delayed because of outstanding engineering work to secure the unit. We understand the need to have the precious commodity because we know that persons really need water, but despite our best efforts, we were unable to have the resumption of water from the pumping station at the Settlewood facility in Hanover, Cannon stated. Water will continue to be trucked to the communities, the spokesman added. Monday's protest started as early as 6 a.m., with dozens of householders mounting roadblocks along the Chester Castle and Settlewood main roads that lead from Montego Bay into St. James through eastern Hanover to Savannah Lamar in Westmoreland. Hundreds of motorists, taxi operators, and commuters were left stranded. The security forces eventually cleared the roadway. Senior cop wants end to stigma against Westmoreland youth. Private sector interests have been urged to end the discrimination against poor youth living in Westmoreland squatters' settlements. The call has been made by Senior Superintendent of Police Robert Garden, head of the Westmoreland Police Division, has acknowledged that many young people have been refused employment because of stigmatized communities. For those of you who run businesses, do not make the address of any of these young men be the determined factor for not employing them, Garden said. He gave that warning during a divisional worship service and appreciation award ceremony held at the Torrington Westmoreland Holiness Church on Sunday. As a matter of fact, those are the ones that you should employ because all they need is guidance, the senior police officer declared. They are good boys and good girls, and I tell you, if it was not for the good people in Westmoreland, the situation would have been worse. As of February 19, police crime statistics for Westmoreland show that 20 people have been murdered in the division, including 3 double homicides since the start of the year. That represents an increase in 12 murders, or a 150% rise when compared with the corresponding period in 2021. Meanwhile, President of the Westmoreland Chamber of Commerce, Moses Sibar, endorsed the needs for business owners to open their doors and provide employment to people from these communities. He also supports the call to end discrimination and live in communities as inner cities or squatter settlement. According to him, South Savannah, where a section has been declared a zone of special operations, is the home of some of the finest people in the parish. There are persons with ambition who are hungry for opportunities, he said. Good and clean-minded people are living inside this community. People who are just yearning for somebody to talk to them, to let them know that we are all equal, he stated. He acknowledged that while business owners are willing to provide employment, many of them are afraid largely because of the pictures that have been painted of persons who live in these communities. I know a lot of people from these communities. In my company, we hire them. They are hardworking individuals, he stated. We have to start looking at how we can start to engage some of these people by providing employment. Golden down but not out, says Henry Wilson. Maxine Henry Wilson, chairman of the People's National Party PNP Unity Committee, is not surprised by a Bill Johnson Miller TV poll finding that the party's president, opposition leader Mark Golding, has a favorable rating of 17%, significantly lower than the 46% held by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, the leader of the ruling Jamaica Labour Party. Additionally, the poll found that 33% of Jamaicans saw Golding in an unfavorable light, while 50% were unsure. Comparatively, 28% find Holness unfavorable, with 26% unsure. It's not a point for comfort, but I don't think it comes as a shock, Henry Wilson stated. She attributed the finding to the fact that Holness has been at the helm of his party for more than a decade, having took the reins from Bruce Golding in 2011, while Golding succeeded Dr. Peter Phillips just over a year ago. As a result, said Henry Wilson, Holness has received far more exposure and recognition, noting that COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted many traditional political activities. It is extremely hard to build a political platform in the middle of COVID because for you to build a political platform, you have to have a lot of exposure, she said, explained that Jamaicans were more receptive of political leaders they can see and interact with physically as opposed to virtually. A social media presence cannot substitute for that, she added, as many Jamaicans do not consider social media as a tool to express their problems or feelings. You can't harmonize remotely, Henry Wilson, a former PNP General Secretary, stated. Colin Campbell, another former PNP General Secretary, also believed that the pandemic has presented unfamiliar challenges within the political arena, but noted that this was not an excuse to slack off on building a stronger relationship with the electorate. People need to know him Golding some more. I know that the pandemic has prevented him from going around as much as he would like, but now that we are at a stage of the pandemic which is looking better, we just need to get out there, Campbell asserted, noting that by doing frequent tours, Golding can still interact with a large number of people even while observing with COVID-19 gathering restrictions. Although noting that Golding had embarked on what was dubbed a listening tour late last year, Campbell said that was not enough because of the short period for which it lasted. You have to go out and people have to know you. In Jamaica, you have about 7,000 polling divisions. Going out to some parish capitals or major towns alone, you no reach nowhere yet, you're just a start, he reported. Given that Jamaica's political knowledge of Golding only dates back to 2012, when he was named Justice Minister in the Portia Simsimila administration, and as Campbell believes, people tend to take 20 to 25 years to fully know a politician, the former General Secretary wants to see Golding doing more. Henry Wilson voiced concerns that the poll results would further the issue of unsettled leadership in the party, but believes the PNP leadership is sustainable for the long term. She reported that while occasional internal disagreements are unavoidable, the party is in a better position than it was 6 months ago. So we have some of the distractors who were not as vocal, and then many of them kind of become part of the regular participation of what was taking place, she said, explaining that efforts at uniting the 83-year-old political movement after a fractious leadership election in 2020 are bearing fruit. Henry Wilson believes that Golding can turn the tide by targeting the 50% of electorate who are unsure whether he is an effective leader. She is advising him to see them as an opportunity to identify the people's direct concerns or issues and then design a campaign around them. Campbell, on the other hand, stated that because Golding is a relatively new leader, he does not expect members of the party who need to settle down and get the machinery moving to do so right away. The poll, which included 1,176 respondents, was conducted between January 14 and 16 in 84 communities across the island with a plus or minus 3% margin of error. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.